I've spent a significant amount of my life wanting to find out what the one thing is that everything pivots off of. In high school, I wanted to figure out what made kids popular, and I couldn't figure it out. At first, I thought, oh, it's if you're good looking, because good looking makes you popular. And then I kind of looked at the popular kids, and I was like, no, they're not all good looking. Then I was like, oh, well, they're in sports. I'm like, yeah, some are in sports, some aren't in sports. It's like it's not sports, it's not good looking. Then I was like, okay, what else could it be? I'm like, oh, they're rich. They're like the rich kids. And so I just kind of started making note like where some of them live in the town, and I noticed no, some of them are rich, some of them are middle, some of them are maybe lower middle. So it wasn't income, it wasn't looks, it wasn't sports. I threw away grades right away because I knew it wasn't grades, but I couldn't figure it out because I wanted to crack this code. Like, what was the thing that popularity pivoted on? And then I finally figured it out, and I figured it out my senior year. And the one thing that popularity pivoted off of was socialness, but specifically who went to the parties, who went to the parties on the weekends. Now, there were some people who did go to all the parties that were clearly not in the in crowd, but they were kind of just weird. So I'm just going to toss out kind of a couple of those outliers. But basically, if you were normal, whatever normal means, and you went to parties, you kind of were in the popular crowd. And this was a huge insight for me. Like, oh, it's going to parties. And so my senior year, I went to parties. Scared. I did not like alcohol. Parties scared me. But I went, and I started getting invited to other parties on the weekends. And this just blew me away because I was like, wow, I can't believe this is the one thing that determines popularity, but that's what it is. And so as I kind of go through life, I want to figure out the one thing that all things pivot off of. For health, I have chosen not eating sugar. To not eat sugar means you can't snack on sugar, which means you're snacking on nuts or fruit or vegetables or something healthy. So that's kind of the one thing I've pivoted on for health. And for investing, and this is a pretty much an investing webcast, is what's that thing that everything pivots off of? And to me, that one thing is the direction of the price charts, because the direction tells you what's going on. So the theme of this week is, and the three leading sectors are. Hey everybody, this is RC Peck with Fearless Wealth, and this is my weekend podcast, and I want to share with you the three leading sectors of 2014. Now, are they hyper specific to lead? No, but they're some of the most leading sectors in the entire market. And I want to share those with you because that shows you relative performance. It shows you which sectors are leading compared to all the other sectors. And this is so important because everything pivots off this. If the stock you own is in a sector that is doing the exact same thing as the stock market, which is nothing this year, or it's underperforming, then you're inviting danger and risk into your portfolio and into your investments and into your net worth. But if you pick stocks in sectors that are relatively beating or just absolutely beating the market, then a lot of what your money and your investments pivot off of is going to work. And it's this relative performance, it's this relative growth, it's this absolute growth that can really give you the indicators of where should you be fishing, where should you be looking, where should you have your money? Because that's the question a lot of you want to know. Hey, where should I put my money? And the big box advisors and the independent financial advisors, they are not going to be able to help you. So one of the first leading sectors is the oil and gas exploration and production. Or you could just say energy, but this is maybe perhaps a subsector that is doing exceptionally well this year, up 12% year to date. The second one is utilities. Now, what's interesting about utilities is typically utilities are thought of kind of a safe haven sector, a place to protect your money. Typically, Um, Less volatility, typically higher dividend producing investments, both are true, and yet it's up almost 12% for the year. Not bad. And then the third one is a perhaps very hated sector or subsector is precious metal mining. And that's up almost 12% for the year. So here you have three sectors that are greatly outperforming the S&P 500 by 12 times. And this should give you an indicator of where to fish, where to look, where money is going into, where momentum is going. Everything pivots off the direction of sectors. Just like in high school or in college even, sociability and popularity, if you wanted to be in that crowd, everything pivoted off of who went to parties. For health, everything pivots off of really what you put in your body. But specifically to just cut out refined sugar, you are going to have a much healthier life, healthier body. You'll shed weight, you'll have more energy, and just great things will happen. So this is really interesting that everything pivots off of direction in the stock market. Price direction, price charts. Look at what's going up, because that's going to cut an incredible amount of time and energy of you having to search and figure out, when in fact just these price charts can tell you what's really going on. Now here's a price chart of all four. The green squiggly line on the bottom is the S&P 500. You can see it's just basically flat for the year. Just above that is a blue line. That's XOP. That's oil exploration and production. Just above that is a red line, which is utilities. Notice how smooth utilities is just going up. It's just slowly, nicely moving up. And then you have this wild child on the top, which was up 32% on March 14th and has since come down significantly since then, just below 12%. The one thing I just wanted to point out is when the market fell this year, at the beginning of the year, fell about 5%. XOP, or oil and gas exploration and production, went with it. Utilities didn't. Utilities kept moving up. Gold kept moving up during that time period. Now, gold mining is clearly in a short-term correction. We'll have to watch that to see which direction it goes. But just notice that you want to follow direction, because it's a heck of a lot easier, because everything pivots off the direction of sectors, and it's just a heck of a lot easier than doing any other way of investing, because I have looked, I have researched this and figured out what really works in investing. So the point this week is this relative performance, or in some ways this absolute performance, is just a powerful indicator to show you where to have your money invested. And this is just another step in helping you really just take back control of your future, of your investments, and your choices. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.